It's time for Orchard Skills. While Bootstrap has always been a popular framework and is the framework used by the Orchard core team, one of the drawbacks of Bootstrap is that the JavaScript library is based on jQuery. It has vulnerabilities. It's an extra added task to update these JavaScript libraries used by Bootstrap. With over 200,000 developers using this free, lightweight CSS framework based on Flexbox, it may be the ideal CSS framework. Today, we are going to look at Bulma and how to utilize it to create an Orchard core theme. Welcome back. So what are some of the reasons why we should use Bulma? Bulma is easy to learn. Above all, Bulma is designed to help simplify coding process, so it only makes sense that Bulma should have easy to use as top priority. That's why the official Bulma website includes starter templates and interactive tutorials. Likewise, the Stack Over community is extremely Bulma friendly, and finding answers to specific questions is no trouble at all. Bulma is modular. Bulma is not everything or nothing framework, it's modular. And that means that you can use the pieces you want and leave the rest out. Only want Bulma's button styles? Or maybe you like how Bulma does columns? Just import the individual SAS files that you need and build your website the way you want to. Bulma is CSS only. Bulma is an exclusively CSS framework. The only output is one CSS file. And if you want to take advantage of the aforementioned modularity to customize your variables, you can download the individual SAS source files. Otherwise, Bulma works just fine as a plug-and-play solution. All of this means that there's no JavaScript in Bulma. But how can that be? Well, Bulma is sometimes described as being an environment-agnostic framework. It's essentially a style layer that sits on top of the logic. Bulma is responsive. It can be difficult to try to convert a desktop design site for use on a mobile device. But with Bulma, it's not really an issue. Bulma is a mobile-first CSS framework offering optimal site responsiveness. Build a site one time and watch it work across any device. Bulma is well documented. The Bulma site provides comprehensive documentation to help you get the most out of the Bulma CSS framework. Topics include modifiers, layouts, columns, and components. Bulma is content-rich. Bulma comes with pretty much all of the components you need to give your site a crisp functional appearance, including drop-down menus, navigation bars, panels, tabs, and tables. Bulma is compatible. Not everyone uses Chrome, so when you're designing a site, you want to be sure that it will work well with the full range of available web browsers. Bulma is compatible with many other major browser options. Bulma is constantly being improved. Bulma may be a relative newcomer, but you wouldn't know it from looking at its update history. New features are being added on a near constant basis, and newer versions are quickly whittling away any bugs or other issues users may encounter. In fact, a release of Bulma came out yesterday. If you are bundling a modern web application, you have likely heard of the term Webpack. Mentioned before, Webpack is a static module bundler for web application. It takes all the code from your application and makes it usable in a web browser. Modules are reusable chunks of code built from your app's JavaScript, CSS, node modules, images, and styles, which are packaged to be easily used in your website. Webpack separates the code based on how it is used in your app. And with this module breakdown of responsibilities, it becomes much easier to manage, debug, verify, and test your code. Webpack can be broken down into these 5 principles: entry, output, loaders, plugins, and mode. Entry is the entry point for your application. It is the first module JavaScript file that Webpack will process to build out the full dependency graph. It then continues to walk through all the important files until it has accounted for all the code needed to run the application. This allows for maximizing reusable code throughout the different pages of an application, making it more optimized. The output point is where the files are to be written to a specified location. By default, Webpack only knows how to process JSON files or JavaScript files, which can be limiting. With loaders, Webpack can extend functionality to process other file types by converting them into modules for your application. Plugins handle the additional tasks that can't be completed by a loader. This includes things such as bundle optimization, defining environment variables, etc. Another example would be extracting a style sheet or generating an index.html file for a single page web application. Mode tells Webpack which configuration and optimizations to use for your application. This triggers some mode-specific plugins that are built into Webpack, building it for the correct environment. The two most common modes are development and production. If the mode is not specified, then Webpack automatically defaults to production. Development mode optimizes for faster build times and code reusability for debugging. Production mode optimizes for the smallest build possible, requiring a longer build time to parse and shrink the code. So why all this information about Webpack? Well, we're going to integrate Webpack into our Visual Studio build process. This allows us to customize what Bulma Sass component files we want to include in our CSS. This process is automatically done for us by Webpack. To get started, let's go to Orchard Skills GitHub repository, the orchardskills.orchardcore.orchardcms. And this particular example is a basic Orchard Core CMS web application with logging enabled. So let's go ahead and click on clone. Let's open the GitHub desktop. And let's go ahead and just clone that. All right. Let's bring up Visual Studio. And let's go ahead and open a project or solution. Orchard Core CMS. And let's go ahead and open that solution. Okay, you can see here that everything's all set up. We have a git ignore license file and special attention to the NuGet.config. Just recently, Orchard Core updated their preview dev feed to Cloudsmith. So this is all on release candidate 2 now. And hopefully soon they'll have an official release on a NuGet, on the NuGet repository. So until then, we're stuck with this, but that's okay. It has everything we need. And so that's what NuGet feed we're going to use. And then, of course, if we look down here, there's our login configuration. And as you can see, the login is set to warning here. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is just create a new project here. They do have a template, but I think it's just easier to right-click on the solution, and we're going to say add and a new project. And let's go ahead and just select a class library.NET Core here. And let's call it Orchard Skills, Orchard Core.Bulma Dark theme. Okay, go ahead and hit the create button. Let's go ahead and change this to a .razor and add this here. Yeah, the easiest way is just to go in here and modify the project file, and it's just a lot simpler. You don't have to go through the rigmarole of adding packages in that, which it's really time consuming because it has to search for the packages. So I think this is always the best solution. Let's go ahead and select add the project framework of ASP core.app, and then also these are all the Orchard Core packages that we'll need. So we'll need the Orchard Core.module.targets, Orchard Core.admin.abstractions, Orchard Core.content management, Orchard Core.resource management, Orchard Core.display management, Orchard Core.users abstractions, Orchard Core users, Orchard Core menu, Orchard Core menu.abstractions, Orchard Core.module.targets, Orchard Core setup.abstractions, and finally Orchard Core.setup. Okay, so once we have that, let's go ahead and save that. And that's correct. Okay, and then we should have all the packages now. Yeah, we do. Great. So what I usually do is I just kind of simplify this here, and I just rename the project to just Bulma Dark Theme. It's just a lot easier with the name spacing here. So go ahead and do that. Save everything. It's just a preference. You can have anything there, but I just like it to simplify it here. Before I forget, let's go ahead and right-click here on dependencies and add a project reference to the Bulma Dark theme. So let's click on that and hit OK. Great. So let's go ahead, and I think the first thing we'll do is rename this guy here. And we'll rename him to startup.cs. And we'll say, yeah, go ahead and do that. All right, let's go ahead and add all the necessary directories we need for the Bulma Dark theme. Since this was basically from the theme by Orchard Core, let's add, controllers, recipes, and we'll add a source directory for all of CSS and fonts and images. We'll add a views directory, of course, and then we'll have, under that we'll have shared. And then, of course, we'll need a www root. And that's about it. So let's go ahead and start that. So let's go right click and add new folder and call this controllers. Right click and add new folder, and let's call it recipes. Right click and add new folder, RC. Right click and add new folder, views, and our last one will be right click, add new folder, and let's call that www root. Okay, add, and we'll say new item, and let's just select controller class empty and home controller.cs, and just go ahead and add that. And for this, all we need is the microsoft.esp.core.mvc, and change the namespace to orchardcore.themes.bulmadarktheme.controllers. Then, of course, we have our home controller class, and then we have an iActionResultIndex, and then return the view. Okay, great. Okay, under our recipes, we'll add snippets, and under that, let's add a new item. And let's add a JSON file here. And the first one we want is recent blog post.json. Let's add that. And another snippet we want to add. And we'll add search blog post.json. Then also we want to add an HTML page, and let's call it footer.html. Okay. And then of course we needed to add our actual recipe file. So we'll add new item. Go to web, and let's call that bulmadarktheme.recipe.json. Okay, and for our views, let's just go ahead and copy those from the theme view, and then we'll just modify them later. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this over here, and for our views here, let's just copy all of this. And for the www root, we add our fave icon and also our theme. And let's also copy the manifest.cs, and also we're going to add a package.json file for the Webpack, and so we'll also create a webpack.config.js and also a resource manifest and then a README file for people to read to help out. And for our source directory here, go into there. Let's get all of our icons, fonts, images, HTML, and our styles that we want. Go ahead and copy that. Okay, great. So now let's go ahead and click on our project file here, and let's integrate the Webpack build process into Visual Studio. Make sure that node is installed, and then also make sure that define the directory where we're going to put the theme. So all the build scripts will be here in Orchard Skills at orchardcore.bulma dark theme. And so that's all set up. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at our resource manifest.cs, the Bulma dark theme, and then we're going to set our URL out to the main.css, and then basically set the version. So let's go ahead and look at the Webpack config. So the Webpack config, we're using some plugins. So we're using the min CSS extract plugin, the HTML Webpack plugin, the clean Webpack plugin, the uglify JS plugin, optimize CSS assets plugin, and the copy Webpack plugin, and the image in plugin here. And so the entry point is just a JavaScript file, which is source/index.js. What that is just to require the styles.css so that the Webpack can start processing the Sass file here. And we specify the output path as img directory, and we specify www dist folder where to copy it from the source directory, and all the configuration for processing all the image files. So that's it. So let's save everything. Run this, hit the little green play triangle button. You notice it's doing an npm install, and then it'll also run the Webpack configuration. So right now it's doing npm install. Now it's running the Webpack. Okay, now let's go ahead and select our Bulma dark theme. And let's call it Orchard Skills. Enter our password. And confirm our password. And let's finish setup. Okay, there we go. There's our Orchard Skills theme, Bulma theme. And you can see we have our social icons up here. We have Facebook, Twitter, GitHub, and we have YouTube. So we can actually go to our YouTube site here, go to our GitHub site, go to our Twitter feed, and also go to our Facebook feed. Then we have our home menus, so it's kind of nice. It's all CSS where it shows nice animations when you hover over the menus. And you'll notice here there's a login, so you can actually click on that and click on login. And there we go. We have the pull down. We can go to our dashboard, change our password, or log off. So we switch to the dashboard. And it brings us to our dashboard. And you'll notice that we have blog here. So we have a blog. And we also have taxonomy, so we can list all our categories. We just have one category, which is travel. So you can switch on travel, which has 2 posts there. We also have list all tags. So we have list Earth, Mars, exploration, space. So if we click on Mars, then it gives all our posts about Mars. So that's kind of nice. Or you can go ahead and click your tags down here. So if you want to click on space, you get all of the tags with space there. So that's all working. And then if we go back to our blog, and we can go ahead and click on our blog, and it shows actual blog posts, which are tags. Okay, and then we go to our contact page. So we can enter our contact information. And then we have a search page. So we can enter, say, or exploration, do a search on exploration. And we have Mars exploration and our moon. So that's all working. Now, if you missed or didn't understand something, that's okay. There's a detailed blog post that describes all the steps. There is also a GitHub repository with the complete source code. All this information is in the video description. If you like this video, please click on the thumbs up icon. Also, please subscribe and click on the bell icon to get a notification when I release the next video. Thank you for watching.